Hi, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Georgia Dakan from Ayata, based in our Geneva office. Thank you so much for joining the webcast today. Before I hand you over to our subject matter expert, I would like to highlight a few logistics for today's call. First, the session is going to be recorded. It will be shared to you together with all the supporting documents that will be mentioned during the session. This is also a series of webinars that we are doing for airlines and agents, and we'll also be sharing with you where you can actually find the other registration for other sessions that we will have in the future. And please feel free to attend or share them to your colleagues. There's a question box on the right-hand side of your screen. Please feel free to ask us any question that you might have, and we will definitely address them during the course of the session itself. So without further ado, I'll give you now to Laura Cajade. She's our head of ISS products based in our Madrid office. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe. As I was saying, well, as I was saying, sorry, I'm in Madrid. So if I'm checking just sometimes my mobile is a way that Jojo and I have to communicate to facilitate this session. The objective of the webinar today is to share with you all information that is related to an upgrade that we are performing to the software of BSPlink. And the goal is really to help you have visibility on what's going to happen, how this is going to happen, so you can get ready on your side and ensure that the transition is smooth. It's not a training, it's really more to explain the milestones and things to expect in this regard. I'll try to speak a bit loud. I've been told in other sessions that the quality of the sound may fail. So if you don't hear me properly, jump in. Jojo will notify me. And at any time during the presentation, please write your questions, and Jojo again will help me, and we will answer them along the way. So let's start. What we wanted to start with is just to set the framework. New front end, which is maybe a wording that you have heard, is a code of the project to upgrade the tool of BSPlink. There were essentially two main objectives when this project was initiated and in all the requirements that have been put on the table. The first one is improving the usability overall. The existing software, it's almost 20 years old actually. And the other spirit behind the whole changes is to provide features and also in usability that keeping in mind that we want to help improving the efficiency of this financial back office process on your side. And we'll go into details in a minute. So in summary, three big changes. The first one is really about the usability and ergonomics of the interface. You'll see more of that in a second. We have also introduced new features and functionalities with, again, this ambition of helping or providing options to some customers or to all the customers about how to automate and simplify these activities on your side. And then we have repackaged a bit the features. So because we have done a lot of data crunching, we have obviously feedback from agents and airlines alike. And we observe that obviously not all the business models and the type of travel agents are the same. So we try to provide packages that could be more suitable depending on your company and how you organize. But in essence, is what I was saying. The spirit is really either to the owners, if the agent is more, a smaller company, or if it's a very large international company and you have a lot of staff, it's really to help the financial directors to really manage this in the most efficient way possible. So let's start with some details. As for the new interface, We wanted to remind that the interface is already in several languages, and it will be still these 5 languages, so English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and German. However, we are thinking in the future about adding some. It's not planned yet, but if we will have a new one, most likely the first one will be Chinese. There are also new features that I wanted to highlight. The first one is in the new interface, there will be some drag and drop or widget features that allow some level of customization of what you see on the screen. The idea is that the person that's using the interface could customize certain things to have a kind of a faster access to this and increase somehow productivity this way. There will be also an enrich function in the search of documents, and it will include autocomplete. This is something that you may be familiarized with in software like even Google or another search engine you may use in your respective countries. And in fact, as you start typing and start proposing options to you, so you just then select the one that is, you avoid errors and you go faster. Another thing that will happen is that we'll start having some dashboards and graphical and visual support to the information that you have on BSPlink, like the screenshots, for instance, that you have in the screenshot in this slide. And in essence, the goal here is that in a very fast way, you can have a sense of how to prioritize the work for the day. So let's pick an example. The person behind the screen wants to manage the refunds that are pending to be received for the agency. So you have the ones that are requested and pending, and the ones, for instance, that have been rejected by the airline. So every day in real time, this is being actualized. So if you, for instance, want to check the rejected to understand why and maybe have a dispute or something else, you just click on the red part of the graph, and automatically this is going to filter the information you have under it, allowing you to go faster. The same could be applied to other, obviously, to the pending refunds or other things. Then we will have also last something extra, which is different also substantially from today's situation. Today, when you perform a task, let's say request an ACM, you can do this task alone at the same time, and you have to finish, then to start with a new task. There will be a multi-tab option in the new BSPlink interface, so you could have several tasks in parallel up and running. This is like a browser when you open several tabs, the same approach applies. And all these improvements are going to be integrated in all the packages we have. Again, all with the spirit to ease their lives and work more efficiently for the persons who are behind the screen. Now we go to the new features. We wanted to highlight these ones. The first one is really about what we have named single sign-on. As you may know, today agents, they cannot have access to several countries information. That will change in the future. And to have access to different branches information in the same country, the user has to log in and log out and select the branch for which they want to see the information. So one improvement we have come with is really to have a single sign-on. So the person, once they have logged in with their credentials, if they have the corresponding access rights, they can see all the information of all the branches in one country. And if the agency is a Go Global agency, only Go Global agents, they may potentially in the future see also all the information across the country without logging in and logging out. It's the same user. Related somehow to this, a new improvement also we wanted to have is not only show the information branch by branch or potentially country by country, but have a potential consolidated information across all those branches and agents. That's also something that we have improved. We will also start including dashboards, but not only the ones that you're seeing here. There will be other ones that are going to allow you to benchmark you to the average situation in that country. So this way you can have kind of benchmarks and see if you're being more or not productive. It gives you kind of a potential area to improve information. Another new feature is that you know today that the billing documents are available up to 2 months. Some other documents are a bit longer, up to 12 months, for instance, for refunds. The idea is that optionally, we want to give the possibility to historically record all the documents you subscribe for up to 2 years. This could be extremely interesting for large companies, we believe, because between sometimes the moment of the issuance of the flight until the dispute of the refund or whatever other situation has happened, there could be a really significant lapse of time. Even if COVID, unfortunately, may have speed up these processes, is still valid for the future, and we trust this will be appreciated. And last, we will have also an advanced user management system. So today, when you have an administrator role in your agency, this person can already create or delete users accordingly to their needs. But this module or this functionality is going to be much improved, and we'll go into this in a bit. So about then the packages, I'm going to skip the video, but you can see in a snapshot this. You have much more detail in the leaflets that you can find on our website and will be distributed also later on. But in a very summarized way, you have these 3 packages that you can select. It's important to understand the bigger the package, obviously it will include all the features of the previous one. So let's start, by the way, sorry, I forgot. We have changed also the names of the packages because the mapping is not 100% the same to what it exists today, even if there is quite a lot of similarities, but we want to kind of break it out precisely because it's not 100% the case. So the first package, we have decided to name it Efficient. And in this one, you will do everything that's needed to have a normal operation with airlines and IATA in a manual way, that you have access to all the features that are required and indispensable. In the streamline, we're going to start to have extra features that allow already certain level of automation. So obviously we can have these views of ADMs, ACMs, and refunds in a single place, but we will have mass request feature for ACMs and refunds. So it's not a ticket level, it could be a group of tickets requested together. And then we will start having some performance dashboards in this package. In the new package that didn't exist before, probably, and this is a stereotype, of course, but it will be more compelling to large companies with more employees and complex IT. We will have the single sign-on for all the branches in one country, or potentially all the countries if you are Go Global. You will have the possibility to see the consolidated view of all the branches and countries. Again, the countries if you are Go Global only. Then you will have the benchmark dashboards versus the market, and you will have the possibility to have the storage of data up to 2 years. Be mindful that some of these features will be starting to be rolled out as from the end of this year, and some will come beginning of next year. But in essence, this is kind of the high level differences between these 3 tiers. We would like to spend some time explaining the advanced user management. The whole idea here is that it's not only what you can do today, it's going to be much more flexible and powerful in our view. And we want to put some examples to give you possibilities to understand how this can help you in organizing the activity. So the first thing is about flexibility. Obviously, this has to answer the needs of very, very heterogeneous types of travel agents and business models. So obviously, it works perfectly well if you're a small travel agent with very few employees. It's very simple and straightforward. But then if you are a larger company, it could be even an international company, you have several branches, you have already a lot of staff working in finance in different regions and locations. In that case, you can start mapping process in a different way. So you can have people that have only access to part of the countries or part of the branches. If, for instance, you need to do a payment to IATA and the airlines or request a credit note or a refund, and you need the request of the approval of your manager, this can be done through the new interface and it can be mapped. So this is the manager who should receive the approval for this type of action. So this is a possibility for larger companies that we wanted to be sure it's clearly understood. This will be implemented as a bit later this year and beginning of next year. And then something that we are evaluating, we have had some feedback from a couple of large companies in this regard versus this, but it's not planned for now. It's being evaluated. If we find this could be useful in the future, we may implement it, but we wanted to share at least the thought with you, because if you find that you are this kind of company that's really large and is more sophisticated, that is not only about having several countries and branches, but even is several brands, it's kind of a holding. We wanted to think about providing also the access to this in a consolidated way to manage all the brands together and have consolidated views of all the brands. So again, this is not in the development timeline today, but we wanted to share this possibility. So if you think this interested, don't hesitate to contact my colleagues from the different local offices and have a chat on this because, well, we think it potentially could be interesting. The other thing is that when we think about creating a new user as an agent, and again, this may be very sophisticated for some agents and no need of this, but we wanted to showcase, again, the flexibility of the tool and the possibility. So imagine you have to add a new user, and this new user, obviously as an administrator, you can decide what are the access rights of this person. So what are the branches, countries that you can see, but also what are the functions that you want them to have access to. So IATA, based on statistics and some feedback from customers, we have predefined a set of roles. We don't impose them, and probably they are not 100% perfect for everybody because they are stereotypes. But we think that when you have to create a new user, if you have this kind of predefined templates, it can help you also go faster. Obviously, you can use them or not, and you can modify them further. But this is a kind of a baseline of the proposal in this advanced user management tool. So I'm going just to take a couple of examples. You will receive the recording and the slides, so you will have time to deep dive in those. But let's say you create an administrator. So the person in this case is the person who can access the functions of adding or deleting users. They would have also the possibility to grant access to a third company that, for instance, you are outsourcing some tasks to. And it will be the responsible person of managing this hierarchy in the groups or potentially go global situation. It will be also the person saying you have the access rights to this function or to this country or to this branch for the other users. It will be also responsible for managing the settings for file transfers if this service is requested. and somehow is also the ultimate person having accountability to acknowledge the charges that are derived for any decision of adding or suppressing users or changing their profiles. So this person, in essence, this stereotype doesn't need to access the billing reports or the APMs or anything. It's really predefined in a way that it's really for their job. If we take, for instance, another example here, we take a person who's really doing accounting. Okay, so in the accounting role, you will have a part that is on the payables, another part is on receivables. So in essence, this person will have access to all the information related to billing and reports, refunds, ADMs and ATMs. And potentially, if you have a commercial agreement with an airline that uses IATA sales incentives such as Global Net Remit 5, you will have also the summary of the incentives in this. Obviously, this could be reduced to a specific country or branch, or it could be having the consolidated view. So it's you have different levels, the function and the geography aspects too. So again, this is an option. I try to showcase the possibilities, and the idea is really that you go faster when you're managing how you map all these functions or people and your staff to the process that BSPlink is supporting for your organization. So if we move forward in IT connectivity, and again, this may apply also to very large companies, a stereotype again. You know that one of the functions of BSPlink is to download certain documents that are related to the billing and the settlement process. And this could be done manually always. However, if your company has the means and the interest, there are file transfer services that could be set up if you don't have it already. And these file transfer services essentially are going to push these documents to a server of your choosing. We understand the main function or need for those would be automating everything related to accounting. So we push the files so you can do or automate a high level of the accounting part in your software. But there could be also other potential needs that you may consider, which is everything related to sales intelligence. So maybe you have a business intelligence or data warehouse software that can also absorb the information from these files. So the SFTP of BSPlink could provide this service and grant you a certain level of automation too. I would like also to talk about another product that IATA offers that is also related to file transfer. You may have heard of it or you may be customer of it, and it's named IINet. In essence, both perform file transfer in a secure way, but there are differences though, and I want to highlight this. The first difference is that obviously the SFTP of BSPlink is only BSP related data. IINet can help with other settlement services. I assume the majority of the agents are not in that case. This wouldn't be relevant, but nonetheless, I wanted to share it. But the other two things that could be interesting also for IINet is IINet allows to perform more sophisticated dispatches of files to multiple servers, for instance, or things like that. And it performs also a certain level of data processing, like for instance, changing the name of a file. So at least you know the two options exist. SFTP is included in BSPlink, Link, sorry, and IINet is a paid option. We'll see that a bit later also. So now we go with the roadmap, the rollout dates. So to understand what you're reading now in the screen, I would like to highlight several things. On the left, you see things like pilot 1, wave 1, etc. This is a group of countries that we have selected, and we have put these labels just to show that there are different dates for each country in the rollout on our side. Obviously, then you have the calendar. And you're going to see a red color, which we name beta test, and the yellow color, which we name live. So I'm going to explain the meaning of the colors for a second, and we go back then to the time. The beta, it implies that when you access the service through the customer portal or the direct URL, you will see by default the current interface. And you have to click on a button that will appear on the screen which says New BSPlink, and you click and then you will see the new interface. So this is going to be during a period of time, more or less a minimum of a month, and in some cases it could be some days extra. When we go live, on principle, the access will be only through the customer portal, and by default, you will see the new interface. If for some reason you don't feel still comfortable with the new interface, during a period of time, you can still access the old interface, and you have a button that will appear that will say, go to classic view. And in essence, that's the meaning of colors. So if we go back to this, you will see groups of countries that are moving to launch, to beta, sorry, and to live in different dates. And also a very important thing here is to pay attention to the green triangles, which in essence highlights the first invoice that will be issued by IATA with the new pricing, with a couple of exceptions that I'm going to explain later. But in essence, at a certain point in time, some prices that I'm going to explain also later will happen. It's important also to know that as from today, I mean, actually even I think it started in April or March, in the customer portal of IATA, we have training available for all the users worldwide. It doesn't matter the country. You can start training already if you want, and we'll go into some extra details a bit further. You can also have on IATA.org, there is a web page dedicated to the project. You can search when you get into IATA.org, new BSPlink, and you'll get this page. And in this page, you will have access to all the training materials, the FAQs, and also you will have access to the sandbox, and you can see also an updated timeline. So if there is any change on the information I'm sharing with you today, you can check regularly this website and check if there is any change that could maybe impacting you or not. On principle, the information that I'm sharing on the screen on countries has a very high level of accuracy. The ones that are going to have a rollout early January, this is the one that may be shifting a bit. This is why I didn't put them today on this slide with the specific dates. So what are the countries? Well, I'm not going to read them all. You see there the ones in pilot 1 and pilot 2. And this is where I have one of the exceptions is the pilot 2 and pilot 1 invoice for all these countries. The first invoice is issued in October, with the exception of Philippines, that will be in November. And for wave 1 countries, this is the full list. You see there are very large markets compared to pilot 2 and pilot 1, large in the sense of number of agents that we have there working with us. And the exceptions are again in brackets, most likely Brazil, Canada, and India. The first invoice will happen in November, while the rest of the countries of wave 1, the first invoice will be issued in December. So keep this in mind if you are in those geographies. You may also wonder why we have decided to do this in waves, and essentially is because we want to ensure the transition goes well. There are almost 100,000 users worldwide in BSPlink, including GDSs, acquirers, airlines, travel agents, and obviously IATA staff. And this is a key piece in the well-functioning of BSP among all these partners. And it's important that we ensure a proper transition without business disruption. And the pilot, as you observed, there were smaller countries, and we wanted to test the robustness of the solution and the stability of the solution from an IT perspective. Obviously, we want to ensure all the time that you have backwards compatibility. So when it's live, you will have exactly the same features you used to have before. And last, IATA needs to absorb potentially any queries you may have on technical or commercial side. So this is another reason why we wanted some spreading in some months to be sure that the transition is very smooth, because obviously we are, even if we have an international organization, we are a relatively mid-sized company. So having this in mind, that I hope it was clear and useful, we have tried to imagine several questions you may have and how this is going to impact your company when this starts to happen. Obviously, if there are extra questions, again, jump in. But the first principle, we want to ensure there is no technical downtime when the migration happens to avoid any disruption. That's a very general principle that we have. We have put, as I was mentioning, in place in customer portal in 16 languages, free of charge, video tutorials. These video tutorials, they don't explain what an ADM is or what a refund is. They assume you know it. What they are trying to train you on is about, today you have to click in this menu to perform let's say, a refund request. Tomorrow you have to click in another place. And on top of all these videos in a lot of languages, you have a sandbox, which in essence is access to the tool, but it's not your real access with your real data. It's just dummy data, it's fake information. But this can help to your users and employees and colleagues to train already and ensure that you will be ready when the change is coming. Another question you may have is if the two interfaces are going to coexist. The answer is yes, for some months. Probably still until end of March next year, but the date is not finalized or defined. But the old interface will be decommissioned at a certain point in time. And it will happen after we have finished the rollout of all the countries worldwide. So as I was saying, maybe it's going to be April, or maybe it's going to be a bit sooner or later next year. But during that period, you will have the two interfaces. The caveat is that if you are already live, obviously the new interface will be by default. We encourage you, and we really think that you will be very happy with the new interface. That's at least the feedback that we have from some tests that we were conducting with some users late last year and beginning of this year. So we really encourage you to have a look already at this and start playing around, even at least with the sandbox. A bit technical questions here that you may have, and again, it will apply to some of you, not to everybody, but one is about some companies have developed mini robots or scripts, which essentially is a software that simulates accessing BSPlink instead of a real person, and downloads, for instance, billing files or things like that. So these scripts need to be reconfigured with a very high level of probability for two reasons. Obviously, the menus have changed all around. So if you have to go to some specific place, you have to change it. But the other one is that today you have to access to BSPlink either through IATA customer portal or either through a direct URL. And this second direct URL is going to be decommissioned. There is no exact date, but it's going to be a matter of weeks as from today. So pay attention in case you have this kind of situation. Talk to your IT colleagues, and you can start trying with this sandbox already working to ensure there is no issue. If you have file transferred with us, SFTP services, on principle, you don't need to do anything at all. It's transparent in the migration. Obviously, if you want them for some reason, please contact us. We will be glad to set them for you. Then we have also data privacy laws, probably the most restrictive worldwide, and I'm not a lawyer, so I said probably, is the European one. But this implies that both the agent and IATA, as a provider of the software, we may have liabilities to give access to people, to data or actions on this information. So imagine, for instance, you share logins with several employees and one employee for any reason leaves the company but still have access to these credentials. Obviously, this could be an issue, and we need to put in place techniques to avoid these liabilities. So the sharing of logins will be checked technically, and we cannot accept it. So also pay attention to this if you have some case in your organization like this. Another thing is when the migration happens, obviously, as I was saying, we have thousands of users worldwide. So this has to be automated, this migration. Obviously, IATA has no authority nor information to decide anything else that's considered that what you have today, you will have it tomorrow when the migration happens. So it's a like for like situation. So the general rule is, if you have a basic user, it will be migrated to an efficient profile. If you have an enhanced user, it will be migrated to a streamlined profile. If you have the group option for some users, they will be migrated to the link profile, accessing the same branches they have today. This is a general rule. You know it from today already. So have a look at what you have. If you want to do any changes in advance, you can do it in any way, suppressing users, adding users, changing their profiles. But take into account that the migration will be automated. If you don't want to do it before the migration, you can do it afterwards. Obviously, that's always your prerogative. There will be also some price changes. We'll go into detail just in a minute, but in essence, your invoice will change. So when I was highlighting some invoicing sent in October, November, or December this year, for some of you, the price will be different depending on several factors. The choice of number of users and what profiles they have, and then obviously the new prices. So as you're saying, you can check any invoice you receive from us today to have a look at what you're paying actually today. With the information I'm sharing with you today, you can do an analysis of how this is going to unfold for you. You can also think about the value potentially in the future of automating certain functions with the new features, with the SFTPs, with the mass uploads, with a single sign-on, and choose accordingly, because maybe this saves time on your side and you can be more productive. At least that's our expectation and ambition. And you can change whatever, and then obviously you will have a different invoice depending on those choices you may have. So let's go in detail about the pricing. The pricing model is like today. It's a price per user, profile, and month. But there are essentially a couple of big differences. The first one, we are going to have the pricing and the packaging will be worldwide the same. So today the pricing, some of you know, that is not the same in all the countries, and is going to be the same worldwide, and the features are going to be the same also worldwide. That's the first difference. So you have to compare, for instance, your basic today in the respective country that you are, check that price versus the table that you have in front of you. But the other important difference is that to give also more flexibility, the prices are going to be related also to the size of sales of your business. It's exactly the same principle we apply in accreditation when you have to review your annual fees with us, with IATA. So I'm going just to go into some details for this. The prices for 2020 for BSPlink, they are determined by the sales size that your company had using the sales from July 2018 to June 2019. The prices for BSPlink for 2021, they will use the sales size calculated from sales from July 2019 to June 2020. And this is like accreditation. This is a sales that is gross sales calculated at the head office, including any form of payment. Obviously, every year this will be revised. But as you can imagine, for the prices of 2020, due to the COVID situation, the sales have dropped for all the sector. So probably you're going to have, I mean, not 100% sure, of course, but you have a likelihood that you're going to be in a smaller sales tier, depending on your company. And in some cases, there are very few countries, but if some of you are in those geographies, I think it's around 8 countries worldwide that they don't have monthly invoices. They have quarterly or every 6 months invoices, for instance. In those cases, you may have paid already, but you are seeing your country name on the list and you wonder what is going to happen. So the extra, it will be prorated, obviously taking into account what you have already paid. So it's not that we are going to invoice double or anything like that, of course. So I wanted just to have a lot of transparency in how the mechanism is going to work. And last, we keep, of course, the free user. That's something that exists today. It will still tomorrow. Is the basic efficient first user that you have in every country. That's included in your annual fee. So you can perform activities with us. Potentially, that may be all you need in some cases, and you can have it for free. And as I was saying, if you wanted to go to the SFTP services, the file transfer services, the SFTP is included in the link package, and IINet, it could have it's a paid option on top. You can take it or not. Maybe you have it already, but you have to get a quotation for this because it's related to the volume of data you're transferring, and you have, well, in that case, a way to get how much it could be. So that was me for now. I'm really glad now to listen to your questions and answer them as best as I can.
Hey, Lara, thank you so much for that. I have some questions here regarding the materials after this session. We'll definitely share the recording, the presentation, and FAQ from today's session and other materials that have been mentioned. So we'll definitely circulate them. Next is that how do I know, Laura, what kind of profile has been activated from me in BSPlink?
I think you can check it, but I don't know the menu by heart yourself on the BSPlink itself. The administrator you may have also the access to this. But a very easy way also is just to check your invoice because the prices today are already depending on your profile. So you will have a line saying, I'm making this up, 10 BSPlink users basic, X amount of money. Then you have 3 additional users basic, X amount of money, and so on. So these ways can work. So contact your administrator. In the interface, I apologize, I don't know by heart the menu. And last, just check the invoice. You should have all the details you need to do that check in an easy way.
Thank you so much. Is it an option to stay on the old BSPlink?
You can use it for some months. We hope you won't, and we hope that we will convince you to use the new interface. We really think it's a large improvement. We also empathize in the sense that some people may be having usage of this interface for many years. It's been out there almost 20 years. But at a certain point in time, unfortunately, it will be cut. As I said, maybe it's going to be April or something around April next year. And in that time, you won't have the option anymore. Until then, yes, but I invite you really to try the new one.
Thank you so much. And will IATA be deciding on what profile will be used per travel agency, or it's going to be the travel agency making that decision?
Always the travel agency has the full decision on this. Obviously, it would be abusive from us to decide. What I was just trying to highlight is that the migration has to be automated. So we have to put some business rules to make it happen. And these are the ones that I showed here. Yeah, these are here. Obviously, you have already today this information. If you want to do whatever change before the migration happens, you can do it already. And this is the way it will work the night the migration is executed from an IT perspective. But you can always change, of course.
Thank you so much, Laura. My country falls under the Wave 1 countries. When should I expect the first invoice with the new
Okay,
profiles?
the first thing, okay, so we go back. Sorry, it's going to take a bit. So the red part, not everybody will start seeing the beta test the same exact day. This is published on the website if you want to know the exact data. But during this period that is in red, I'm going to use a pointer. So during the, oh, not this one. Laser pointer, this one. During this period, no change in your price at all. Okay. Then you go live and then you start this part, which is December. Okay. The first invoice will be happening end of December, and it will cover the period of December. There are only 3 countries that are an exception to this, that are in the wave 1, and they will receive the invoice end of November for the period of November. These 3 countries are Brazil, Canada, and India. Unless something happens from now to then, this is the plan.
Thank you so much, Laura. Is it possible to upgrade from efficient to streamline later as we go along?
Of course, to lean or the other way around. There are
And
only, there is one subtlety. The main user, the administrator, you have to contact IATA to do this. For the rest of the users, is the administrator that you have assigned within your company that has the ability to do this. And the tier of the administrator is the maximum functionality you can give to the users. So if you have decided that your administrator is efficient, this administrator will never be able to create a lean user.
thank you so much. Laura, can you just go back to the fees again, please?
Absolutely. So it takes a bit.
The question here is, what's the new fee for the new BSPlink interface?
It will depend on the profile of the user, if it's the first user or an additional user in the branch, and then on the size of sales of your head office, your headquarters. The table aims to represent it. It's the same structure as today, with the difference that today you have different prices per country, and now it's going to be worldwide, and the sizes. Before it was only one number.
And is it possible to just stay on efficient one user for the whole company?
If you're a small company, really, I don't see why not. I would be very surprised if you were an OTA with a lot of countries or something like that, you could do that. But yes, absolutely. If you think it suits your business needs, by all means.
Thank you so much. You have mentioned about retention of files. Is it pertaining to billing reports or other files as well? And for how long?
All the files you have subscribed to.
Okay. And is
So
it
the
only
billing
for, sorry,
reports, sorry.
go ahead, please.
Okay, the billing reports now, they are staying only for 2 months. Other files like the refunds or the ADM information, I think it's around 12 months at least. But what we are seeing is all the files, including these 3 I've just mentioned, can go up to 2 years as an option, of course.
Thank you. As I understand that fees are per user per month. Are we going to pay monthly, quarterly, or yearly? Or is it an option for us?
It's a user per month price. The large majority of the countries worldwide are on a monthly basis, no matter the size of your company or anything. There are very few exceptions that the periodicity is different. And this is determined by IATA. It could be, I think it's quarterly, every 6 months, and I think we're having one country with annual collection.
Thank you so much. And in accessing BSPlink, is it through the same BSPlink website right now, or will it change as well?
It will change, as I say. Today you have two options. I'm going to go back to here. So today you can access through a direct URL. This is the URL. Okay, this is one option. And the other option is there is a shortcut in the customer portal. You probably have it under your favorite service, and it's named BSPlink. These are the two options that exist today. In the future, you will only have the possibility of the customer portal. The other one, there will be the commission.
Question here, can you just please clarify the difference between BSPlink and IINet? Is it two different systems a company can choose between according to their benefit, or BSP will be totally converted to IINet?
There are two systems. And IINet is an option, and it has a price tag on top, while the SFTP and BSPlink is included in BSPlink link. So you can decide what's more convenient because the functionalities are not exactly the same. So you may consider the SFTP of BSPlink is enough for you, or you may need extra things that you want, like some data processing, for instance, or complex dispatching of files, and you want to opt for IINet. That there are two technical systems, not exactly the same features, and obviously not the same price.
Okay, is it possible to log on multiple systems?
I guess you're referring to when I was talking to the single sign-on. So the single sign-on, as I said, sorry, I'm going to go back. So the single sign-on, it will be an option that when you log in, you could have all the view of all your branches, or if you are Go Global, all the view of all your countries. And this could be in two ways, one by one. So I select a branch and I see the info of that branch, or I select that country and I see the info of that country, or a consolidated view that adds up all those branches and potentially countries. I hope I answered the question because I'm not sure I got it right.
Perfect. I don't see anybody typing any more questions. And while waiting for the other questions to come, the common questions I've been receiving here is that can I attend future sessions for BSP Link? And the answer to that is yes, you are more than welcome to attend future sessions that we'll be posting. And actually, we already have coming for September, and it's posted on the Yata website. And the same link that you have used to register for this session, you can also use the same link to choose other timings and other dates. And as I have mentioned before the start of the session, we'll be sending all the documentation, including the recording and the PDF of this presentation to you. So please be rest assured that you'll be receiving them. Good. And Laura? Sorry.
Complementing on this is just a subtlety. These sessions that Giorgio is sharing with you, they will be exactly the same content. However, we are thinking if we observe that this is not enough, or we find ourselves receiving a lot of questions in the customer service that we didn't cover, we will potentially create specific sessions for frequently asked questions on top of what's planned. And you will receive also individual communications to your users with the exact dates always when it's going to go beta and when it's going to go live, clarifying all this information as well as when the invoice is going to change for you.
Thank you, Laura. There's a question here. Can you please elaborate further on the size of the travel agency? For example, for Medium, it says 200K USD to 2 million USD. This means total accumulated sales from July 2018 to July 2019.
to June 2019. So imagine your first invoice is going to be in October. So this is 2020. The sales size used for 2020 will take the gross sales of your head office, including all of the other branches, and it will include any form of payment. So it doesn't matter if you use credit card, cash, or other form of payment. And these gross sales are going to be calculated from July 2018 to June 2019. However, if the price of BSPlink is for January, then the sales size is going to be determined not by this period, but July 2019 to June 2020. It's a bit tricky. I thought this pair with a footnote, but nonetheless.
Laura, can you elaborate more on the details on multiple files for each billing period?
I don't know if you refer to the historical recording or other feature. The billing files today, they are available on BSPlink for 2 months. This will be extended with the historical storage for 2 years if you wish to have that option. If you refer to something else, please elaborate. I'm not sure I grasp your question.
Thank you so much. And Laura, even after this session, if they have any question regarding all these changes and or the training materials itself, who they can actually reach out to.
Well, as I'm saying, in the iata.org, if you search for new BSPlink, is a project page, if I can express it this way, where you can find all the information about the training, and it will redirect you to the customer portal from there. You have also the timeline, and in any case, obviously, you can contact my colleagues from local office, and they have also all the same resources that they can also share with you. But again, I repeat, all your users will receive emails every time we move to beta or to live with all these resources information.
There's a question here. Are we going to get the new link or the former link? If it's pertaining for the registration for the new session, it is the same link. If it's pertaining for BSPlink, Laura?
The BSPlink, you're going to be requested from now on to log in through the customer portal. You still have the two systems in parallel for some few weeks. I don't know exactly when the other URL will be decommissioned. Maybe it's 3-4 weeks, maybe a bit more, but I understand it's going to happen quite soon.
Laura, can the tutorial videos be available for all customer portal users? I'm an IATA accredited
Absolutely.
agent. Sorry,
It's
I'm an
absolutely
IATA accredited
available
agent.
in all the countries for all the users in 16 different languages.
I'm not sure if this is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm an IATA accredited agent, but I'm not linked to BSPlink.
That's strange, but the only thing I'm thinking of is that you as an individual employee, you don't have access, but someone else in your company has. I think it's impossible to be accredited agent of IATA without any employee of that company not having access to BSPlink. Not specifically you, but someone else in your organization. BSPlink is mandatory if you're accredited agent. If you're TITS, maybe it's a different story, but that's the only two explanations I can imagine.
Perfect. I don't see anybody typing for the question. Let me just double check again. Okay, and I also put on the chat message regarding the link for new registration for the new sessions. Laura, I spoke too soon. The same policy for Go Light BSP users. Will it be different in terms of accessing BSP link?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Let me repeat the question. I would like
Yeah.
to I would like to move to Go Light BSP, for example. will I have the same access to BSP Link as I'm having right now?
Yes, the accreditation is independent. You could still be a go live theoretically with more than $2 million gross sales. It's unlikely for the statistics we have, but you could. And you could have the BSPlink profile you want. You could have lean, efficient, or streamlined. It's about the
Okay,
sales size, not the accreditation model.
perfect. Again, I don't see anybody typing further questions, so we'll just wait for a few more seconds. If not, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Laura, for walking us through BSP Link for travel agencies. And we'll definitely send you all the supporting document together with all with the recording of this session. So if there's no further question, wait, of course, there's more questions. One second. Okay, one sec. Let me just understand the question. Okay, currently we are being charged USD 35 for PSP Link. So there's a possibility that we will not be charged anymore if we avail the efficient one user free, depending on our previous sales.
Yeah, I mean, you will have always, no matter how large your company is in sales, one user for free efficient. I'm going to use a stereotype because obviously I don't know the reality of all the businesses worldwide, but for some companies, this could be enough. If you're really, my stereotype would be if you're a small company with few staff, that could be enough. It's going to be more manual, but you have all the features you need. We believe though, if you start to having more sales, it implies in general you have more refunds, ACMs and ADMs to manage. So you start to have a bit more complexity in the back office. It will require more staff. Therefore, these features of the streamline will start to be useful because you can do manage things in mass. So you want to do refunds not for one ticket, but for several tickets. So instead of going by one and spending some hours, you just upload a file in an Excel and it takes some seconds. So think about it because yes, you have absolutely the opportunity, but we think that despite the extra cost, you can save money. These features are going to allow you really to be more efficient. Of course, this is our belief and how we design. That is your business decision. I hope I managed to convince a bit some of you at least.
There's an interesting question here. At the present
Yeah.
COVID-19 scenario, how will you do the calculation for 2021 prices?
As I said, is between the sales between July 2019 and June 2020. So this includes 6 months of COVID worldwide, obviously not at the same time in different parts of the world. But for me, it's very important that you realize here that unfortunately for everybody, the sales have dropped. So you are going to be, or you have certain probability of having lower sales. So if last year you were medium, maybe this year you're going to be small because unfortunately the sales drop.
Currently in our company, only one person has access to BSP Link. So if I need to have access, I need to request through the head of the company.
Yes, that could be the case. Yeah. This person would be your administrator and can decide to create another user for you if it's needed. The only users that require IATA intervention is the administrators. The rest is something you can manage 100% on your own.
Laura, there's a question here that is not related to new BSP Link, but on BSP Link itself. They need some help in terms of understanding how to read the reports of BSP Link. Who they can contact on that?
Um, they can contact obviously customer service, but I suspect, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it. We have received some feedback that the format of the files that you download, sometimes the format is a text file, CSV or ASCII if you prefer. Sometimes it's Excel, sometimes it's PDF. So if a company wants to use these files to do some accounting, in general, the PDFs are less useful, and there have been sometimes feedback saying, well, it would be more useful to me to have a text file or an Excel file that I can use in my accounting process. But this is not related to BSPlink in the sense that BSPlink won't change the format of the files. It will be the same format. Having said this, we are conscious of this need, and we are thinking about how to improve the situation next year. I cannot promise a date or anything, but we are conscious of it, and we'll work on it to hopefully improve it along next year. I don't know if you referred to this, by the way. If I didn't answer properly, please don't hesitate to rephrase your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody. And even after the session, if you have further questions, please do not hesitate to contact our customer portal regarding BSP Link in general. Okay, sorry, just one more. Can you just reiterate?
Yeah,
Is the confirm? Please confirm that it is mandatory to move to the new BSP Link.
yeah. For now, you will have some small the two systems in parallel. There is no going back now.
Thank you so much, Laura, and you'll be receiving all the documentation from us. So if there's no further question for today's session, thank you so much for your time, and have a good day to everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye.